Hello folks, today our special guest is Kathy Mann. She is a writer and she's specializing in stress management. Hi Kathy, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit what you do.
I'm a writer and a speaker in the field of stress management, and I also run workshops for individuals and companies to help them with stress.
Okay, very nice. And why you decide to do this?
I had a significant burnout, so that means I got very sick from stress. I developed an autoimmune disease known as Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and I got chronic fatigue for about 3 years. So I completely transformed my life. It became a catalyst for me to create a new life that was more aligned with my own calling and my true self. So I transformed many aspects of my life, and I became a writer, and I'm much happier with the new life.
Great. So in your first book, Avoiding Burnout, okay, tell us a little bit about it.
I wrote this book when I was really sick, and I tried to use it to understand and unpack what had happened to me and how I became so sick. And then I wrote the story of how I got there and how not to do it.
And you mentioned in this book a method that you developed called the 7 Principles of Self-Preservation,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
Okay, how does it work?
So each principle relates to something I learned during this time of recovery from burnout. So things like I learned to know myself very well and align my work with my personality and talents. I also had to live a life of meaning because I became so sick from living the wrong life. I learned a few things about transforming my relationships, losing the guilt, embracing creativity, and also prioritizing self-care, prioritizing me so that I can care for others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to share with us some techniques that you write in your book about how to relieving stress and reaching happiness?
Yes, I think something I learned about is that when we vocalize, we can create a calming effect. So there's something called the vagus nerve that runs from our whole torso, really, from the top and around our larynx and vocal cords and down through the body. And when we exercise this nerve, it creates calm. So if we do things like humming, singing, laughing, it actually relieves our stress.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your second book, Harnessing Stress.
Yes.
What is this one about?
Yes, this one's quite different. The first one I really wrote about my story about getting sick. The second one I wrote about other people's stories and how other people connect with stress. I did a lot of research and preparation for this book. I interviewed about 50 people and I did a survey of about 300 people. And I asked them what causes stress in their lives and what do they do about it. I blend this wisdom that people have offered with international experts on how to move away from stress and live a happier life.
Okay, what were the results of your research?
Yeah, there was very interesting findings. So I think firstly, the physiological symptoms that people are feeling. A lot of people experience fatigue. It was about 77% of people are feeling fatigue. They also experience things like sleep disturbance. They're struggling to fall asleep at night or they're waking in the night. Some people feel a lot of muscle tension, especially neck and shoulders and lower back pain. And there was also a lot of things like irritability and anxiety amongst the people who responded. So, and then as well, I asked them, where does it come from? Where is the source of stress? And I found there were 3 top areas. Firstly, work, and then secondly, money. So people worry about their day-to-day expenses and their long-term savings. And then in third place was relationships, and that was primarily with spouse and children. That's where the stress is coming from. And I also asked them about how they relieve stress. So what do they do to combat it? And I was happy to see that people are doing a lot of exercise. That was the top one. And then also people look for rest and connecting with each other. But I do think there's much more opportunity to use things like meditation and creativity as a form of stress management. So that's what I offer in this book. I offer the ideas of everyday people that there are many ways that we can deal with our stress.
Yes, it caught my attention that people don't go and look for support, like as a first step, go and look for a professional to help them to relieve the stress. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's very powerful to reach out and it can help us. I think not enough people are doing that from what I can see in my findings. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, would you like to share with us some of the nuggets that you have in this second book?
Yes, I think the one chapter is called The Power of Connection. And I see from international research in the field of positive psychology that building relationships is the most significant contributor to our happiness. So when we're struggling, as you said, to reach out for help and connect with a psychotherapist or a coach or someone like that, and also maintaining our relationships. So if you keep up with your friends, go for a coffee and keep those relationships going. I found a lot of people were very lonely in the research that I did, and it's surprising that in this time where we have so much connection with technology, we really there's no substitute for connecting with another human being. So what I write about in the science is that there's that hormone called oxytocin, the love hormone. So when you're breastfeeding and you have sex and things, that's the one that binds us together for evolutionary purposes. And you don't release oxytocin when you're behind your device, but when you're having a close personal conversation with a friend or you're hugging a child, it releases oxytocin. And oxytocin acts as an antidote to stress. It does all the opposite. It brings down blood pressure, brings down heart rate. It actually counteracts all of that. So we're not getting enough of that intimacy, that closeness, which is quite fascinating. Anyway.
Yeah, no, the problem with the devices is that you definitely release dopamine. So you feel good in the moment that you're in. And but towards the point that you feel addicted to it.
Yes.
So then you want to keep checking and checking the messages and what else, who wrote me and everything.
What's next? More
but
and
like
more and more.
with addiction.
Yes.
And
but it's not
too
fulfilling.
much of exactly.
It's not really giving you that boost of the right hormones, and that's what we get from connecting with people on a close level. In the book, I encourage the mothers to hug their kids, be there for them. When they're crying and having that moment, it's like that's an opportunity to, release your own stress.
Yes. That's why they say that the first language is touch.
Yes, absolutely.
That being there is so important. Absolutely. It develops and releases and makes you grow.
And immune systems. There is research about neonatal babies and how the ones that are touched and cuddled and loved more, their immune systems are so much stronger. They grow quicker. They're healthier, which is quite remarkable.
But we need also that when we are older.
Yes.
Kathy, and what do you think about social media?
Personally, I love social media. I use it for business and in my professional capacity, but I do think that there is a danger of replacing that deep personal connection. So once we can become very lonely if we spend all our time scrolling through social media feeds instead of person-to-person connection with others.
Agree. It is important to have a little bit of balance in everything. Yes. So we can use it for nice things, but at the same time, definitely cannot replace persons.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we can find something about that in this book.
Yeah, the youngest person I interviewed spoke a lot about how social media expectations are so high in the younger people, and if you're not presenting this great image of looking successful and having fun every moment, then you've got the sense of failing. So that's the kind of pressure that the younger generation is experiencing in terms of their social media. But I think some of the wiser ones realize that those deep personal connections are really important.
Yes. Yes.
Connection also in that chapter talks a little bit about animals and nature, so being able to connect with nature, going for walks in the forest and how that impacts stress, and connecting with our pets and larger animals in their natural environment.
Beautiful, yes. It is amazing how those things sometimes have to happen in our lives for us to be transformed and then really live the true purpose. I love it, you're very inspiring. Kathy, and what advice would you like to give to young people entering into the workplace?
I think one of the most important lessons I learned is that you have to align your strengths and talents with your work. So when you're doing work that you absolutely hate and you're struggling with, you can't do that for a long time without consequences. So I think as much as we can get our personality aligned with our work, we can really enjoy what we offer and bring out the best of us to the workplace. And that helps our colleagues, it helps our manager, and it helps us to feel empowered and to have a life of meaning. Thank you.
Kathy, if people would like to reach you, to find you, where can we buy your books, and where can you where can we get in touch with you?
Okay, my books are available on Amazon. So the first book is available on Kindle and paperback internationally, iBooks as well. The second book is available now on Kindle, and in November 2019 it'll be available in paperback. If you want to connect with me in terms of my events and my workshops, I think my Facebook page, Kathy Mann Writer, is the best place to find me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Kathy, thank you so much for being here, for chatting us today, especially for having the courage of living your life purpose, for inspiring other people, and definitely for sharing the wisdom with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So remember, only by being a better person, you are already changing the world. Thank you so much. Bye.
Rolling camera.
No, you can think. That's a problem.
And you having your book launch soon. Where is that and when is it happening?
Yeah, my book launch is happening on the 14th of November 2019 at about 6 p.m. in Mike's Kitchen, Bryanston. And everyone is welcome to just come and join the celebration and meet other people who are like-minded and want to manage their stress.
We'll go.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I hope so.